What's happening now won't be seen tonight, so we can bring you a very special episode of The Gen X Files. Welcome to The Gen X Files. I'm Jim.
I'm Adam.
And today's show is all about
The Cannonball Run.
Cannonball, 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 cannonball.
Get the fanciest car you can and drive across the country.
Woo. Man.
Expensive. It's funny that they would take the most expensive cars and drive them across the country.
I love this movie.
Oh, it's so much fun.
This movie, look, hasn't been the happiest times in the world right now for some people, but this movie just put me in such a good mood watching it.
It's so good. It's so good. And then you completely ruined it by watching the sequel.
Yes. Well, not completely, but the
No,
sequel.
no.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, sorry.
It's
I'm
a
getting
shame.
ahead of myself.
But, man,
Yeah.
watching this movie as a kid in the theater, I was dying laughing. And the cars and everything. Look, I don't care what the critics say. I'm sure it doesn't hold up and whatever. But for me, this movie is just pure joy. And for guys of a certain age, my age, like Burt Reynolds and these Hal Needham comedies like Hooper and this and Smoke. I don't know if you did Smoking the Bandit.
And Smoking the Bandit too.
Were just these ridiculous fun movies that just started and didn't really stop.
They were the reason you went to the movie theater, to go have a fun time.
This I know for a fact that Adam Sandler loved Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis, Jesus. Adam Sandler loved Burt Reynolds. And modeled his entire career off of him because it's the same exact thing.
Totally.
You get together with your buddies, make mediocre films that you guys rise above because you're talented. Unfortunately, Sandler's crew could not rise above Grown-Ups or Grown-Ups 2.
No. Unfortunately, they're just not the same caliber
no
as
amount of fun
Reynolds' crew.
To save that.
But, I mean, how could you not? I mean, you have a friend who is making a ton of money, and he's like, hey, we're going to shoot a movie in Hawaii. Okay.
100%.
Let's go.
1,000,000%, man.
Let's go.
That's the whole thing. That was what I wanted. You know, ever since I started trying to do this damn thing, it was just, it was like, do stuff with your friends. I want to do stuff with my friends. Yeah. I did. Didn't make me any money. So now I'm never doing things with friends again.
That's why we're mortal enemies, Jim.
Because Burt Reynolds is a lie. But it's just, it gets me so goosed and excited because it's just pure escapism. There's nothing.
Yes, it is such a weird movie.
Yes.
But so much fun.
It is so funny to start with Mad World, which is an absolute masterpiece on every level.
Absolutely brilliant.
Every level. Like, that is one of the greatest movies ever made.
Yes.
Hands down. Just is. You know, and we, and then we got, the flying machines, which is pretty fun.
It wasn't
good.
bad. It wasn't bad.
Well done. I got Scavenger Hunt. We're kind of dipping down. And then look, yes, this movie is completely thin. It's even thinner probably than Scavenger Hunt in terms of like character development
and plot.
Sure.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter because it doesn't matter because all you want to do, you want to hang out with Burt Reynolds and Dom DeLuise and Farrah Fawcett and Jack Elam, and you want to ride around with Jackie Chan and you want to Mel Tillis and and Terry Bradshaw. And oh my God. And then you got like the dream team of Dean Martin and Sammy Davis Jr. It's just, and everybody is having a blast. Or at least seems like it. At least they're acting like it.
That's the reason you go to these movies is because everyone's having a good time.
You know, it's not a wink and a nod at the camera, but it's also, it's effing Terry Bradshaw, man. He was like the Travis Kelce of the day. He was a funny, goofy dude that got,
He was very good at his job and rode those coattails.
Burt Reynolds, friends with him because of football and stuff, put him in movies. And look, he put all of his friends in, and were all of them great? No, but they were all funny.
No, they were all great. And this is the thing. When you bring up this movie to somebody, the first thing they always talk about is the bloopers during the credits.
Oh, my God.
And that is indicative of how much fun they had making this movie.
The reason why we put bloops at the end of the show is because of that. Because it's a fun way to just also show just how much fun they had.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think last week I told the just quick story of Dax Shepard and Matthew Lillard were working with Burt Reynolds on Without a Paddle, I think was the movie.
Yeah.
And Lillard messed up, and he got a slap. He got a slap from Burt, and Dax Shepard has never been more jealous in his life than in that moment. And I get it, because it was iconic, man. The two of them together, even though they didn't do a ton of movies, Burt Reynolds and Dom DeLuise are indelibly just mushed together in my memory.
A great comedy pair. I mean, they play off each other so well.
So well. And it was just the perfect, smooth, good-looking guy and the weirdo.
Yeah.
You know? But the weirdo with such endearing charm and earnestness.
You know that Burt Reynolds thought that Dom DeLuise was the funniest man alive.
Yes, and he was always the heart.
Yeah.
Even in The End, which is the weirdest effing movie that we're going to cover at some point.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But even in The End, as the crazed insano, he's still so charming. Dom DeLuise was just one of the greatest, most likable, charming actors ever. Just to get all these guys, to have Roger Moore playing a Jewish dude.
Playing himself.
Who's pretending to be Roger Moore is just a stroke of genius. And he was so game with it.
Yeah.
I can't express just how much fun this movie is. To me. I get it, man. I can't imagine showing some kid in their 20s this movie for the first time, and they'd just be aghast.
There's definitely some questionable things in the movie.
Here's the thing. At least in my opinion, and yes, Jamie Farr is the Sheik character from the Falafel family.
Yeah.
Is a little weird, and Jackie, but they weren't making fun. How do I put this? The casual racism of this movie wasn't directed at the people. It was just kind of everybody was a caricature. Whether you're a couple of good old boys with 18 cases of beer in the back, or you're Jackie Chan.
And some people would argue that doesn't make it any better, but I don't disagree.
But to me, the 80s were just about making fun of everything. There wasn't. There's a difference between being hurtful and just being silly, I think.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the stuff, and look, we wouldn't do it today because it just doesn't hold up today. But a lot of the stuff, there was no animosity towards it. There's no hate or meanness towards it.
No, I mean, when they're doing, pointing out things about these people that is basically true. I mean...
And it went for everybody, whether it was the redneck or the snooty guy.
I mean, that's the perfect... If it was the rednecks not being super redneck, then sure.
Everybody.
The Sheik handing out money to everybody because he could.
And his harem. But everybody in these types of comedies, white, black, Asian, Hispanic, whatever, all of them were boiled down to caricatures and stereotypes.
Well, and just don't forget that the majority of the money for this movie came from a Chinese company.
Right.
So, I mean,
but I also, the thing that brings it all home to me is the one scene in the movie where it's so stupid, but the scene where the bikers start attacking Burt Convy.
Yes.
And regardless of the fact that these guys are competing against each other, these guys and gals, they all go to his defense.
They have to.
Because they're all in it together.
Cannonballers.
Yes, and cannonballers stick together.
It doesn't matter who you are. They welcome you. If you're willing to run that race, you are in the family.
Yes, and the fact that it was a real race is so crazy to me. I wish I would have loved to be a part of that. Not just to, because I never would win, but just to be a part of that.
Well, you never know.
Driving down and
just doing it. I mean,
it's the partying beforehand
crazy.
And afterwards. It just seemed like a great time.
Having a party and then 2 days later having another party on the other side of the continent is amazing.
The ones that didn't get arrested, but it's. I get it. I totally understand every single criticism that could come toward this film.
Oh yeah,
I see where you're coming from, but I don't care. I love this movie so much as a kid.
Hey, look. God knows Roger Ebert loves a lot of really, really crappy movies.
Yeah, except for this one.
He was a big fan of Anaconda, so whatever, man. You got your things. Like, just go with it.
Big, dumb, star-filled comedies. I adore them.
Yes.
And there are very few that are done really well.
Yeah.
As this week, as a testament, this month, we didn't have, we had the granddaddy of them all, which is the greatest.
Yeah.
And then three pretty, two okays. And then this one, which, I know in the pantheon of cinema is not going to be put in the Criterion Collection anytime soon. But for Gen Xers, this, it sounds really weird, but this kind of defined friendship for us.
Yeah.
And it also, Burt Reynolds was one of the first kind of charm celebrities that when he was on Carson, when he was on Cavett, when he did the talk show circuit, he was smart, he was charming, he was funny, he was self-deprecating.
He was magnetic. He was fun to watch.
Magnetic is the perfect word. Magnetismo.
Yeah.
But, and he was, and, if you just know him from like Boogie Nights and being grumpy, it's the same thing with Chevy Chase, right? It's to see these guys in their prime, there was nobody better.
Oh, no.
And for a while, Burt was on top of the world. And I watched this interview with him this morning that was really prescient. And it was around the time that, what's that football movie?
Longest Yard.
It was about the time that The Longest Yard came out.
Yeah.
And he's like, look, a movie star, you got maybe 10 years.
Yeah.
If you're a woman, less than that.
Yeah.
He's like, I had to make the decision. Am I going to be a movie star or am I going to be an actor?
Right.
And he wanted to be an actor because an actor has a career. A movie star has a shelf life.
Right.
You're smart enough to see that. And still, even in his quote-unquote acting times, he also did some amazing comedies and some really fun stuff.
I think that he was able to do both. He was able to pursue the acting while still making movies with his friends and having a good time.
In the 80s, he made a ton of missteps. But it wasn't his fault. Like Best Friends with Goldie Hawn. Supposed to be a great movie, but not that great.
Yeah.
Or City Heat. We were all just
wanting that.
Champing at the bit to see Reynolds and Clint Eastwood together.
Right.
And disappoint. I mean, that's why Gen Xers are just so whatever, man. We got so much disappointment.
That's very true.
Latchkey kids coming home making a sandwich, watching your after-school specials and your cartoons, and then you go see the movies you've been waiting forever for, and then it doesn't turn out, and you're like, okay, it wasn't great, but it was okay. Maybe I'll watch it again.
Right.
Whatever. So we're primed for disappointment. But anyway, let's get into it. I could talk all day about how much I love Burt and Dom.
All right, take yourself back to 1981.
Yeah.
May 13th, Pope John Paul II is shot by Mehmet Ali Agca, a Turkish gunman, as he enters St. Peter's Square in Vatican City to address a general audience. The Pope recovers, leading to the bulletproof Pope-mobile.
The Pope-mobile is the most ridiculous.
I know.
Ridiculous.
Technically, they had the Pope-mobile beforehand, but this is when they literally encased him in glass.
Yeah.
God knows you can't kill the man of God. I don't know.
Apparently, you can try. You can shoot him.
Yeah. May 22nd, serial killer Peter Sutcliffe, also known as the Yorkshire Ripper, is found guilty and sentenced to life imprisonment on 13 counts of murder and 7 of attempted murder in England.
Oh, my God. The Yorkshire Ripper.
Oh, yeah.
Is he the one that was flushing everything down?
And he lived in an apartment on a second floor and was trying to flush things down, or he would bury them in the backyard. Flush body parts down. And then bury them in the backyard, and nobody noticed the smell, nobody complained. It was, he is one of the most screwed up people I've ever read about.
I think the Last Podcast guys... There's a podcast, Last Podcast on the Left, and they did a deep dive into him that's really interesting if you're curious about more about the Yorkshire Ripper.
Yeah, it's fascinating. He's such a weirdo.
And come on, England, has everybody got to be a Ripper? Jack the Ripper, the Yorkshire Ripper? Come on, have a little bit of diversity.
June 5th, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention in the United States report that 5 homosexual men in Los Angeles have a rare form of pneumonia seen only in patients with weakened immune systems, the first recognized cases of AIDS.
That was a crazy time, man.
It's 1981. I thought it was later than that. I didn't realize it was that early.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was happening even earlier than that. They just started realizing it.
This wasn't really reported.
Yeah. It was, oh, man. When that started becoming, people started actually realizing what was going on.
Right.
The things people would say were so disgusting, horrible, and absolutely animalistic.
I can't use the toilet seat after you sit on it because I might get AIDS.
This is just a quick little speedy bump. So I was watching this Gen X show, this Gen X channel on YouTube.
On YouTubes?
On the YouTubes.
Yeah.
And it was a show about after-school specials.
Mm-hmm.
No. about very special episodes.
Very special
of our
episodes,
sitcoms.
yeah.
And on the Hogan Family, with the stars Jason Bateman, it used to be Valerie's family, but then they fired the woman. Anyway, but and Sandy Duncan took over. She only has one eye too, just like our buddy Sammy Davis. So they had a whole episode where he goes to visit a friend of his. His friend has AIDS, and it's all destigmatizing the hugging, the touching.
Yeah.
And it was a really groundbreaking episode about debunking all of the myths of AIDS and using Jason Bateman, which is pretty crazy, and Sandy Duncan.
That was Princess Diana was a big proponent of that when all the pictures came out of her like holding hands with all the patients dying of AIDS and
or
stuff.
holding the AIDS babies.
And just like her, being there, acknowledging that this is happening, and
as opposed to oh yes, well, I won't say it. I won't say the words or the letters.
Yeah. It's fine. Ignored, it goes away. Sure. We've learned that works for everything.
I can't see it. It's not there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where am I?
Yeah, germs don't exist either because I can't see them.
Who am I? Mother?
June 19th, the Cannonball Run is released in theaters just in time for summer fun.
Cannonball, cannonball, cannonball. Yes, man. I've told this a bunch of times. My mom worked at Coldwell Banker. She was a real estate broker, and her office was right next to a Sixplex.
Nice.
So especially in the summer.
Oh, you spent a lot of time at the theater.
And I'll say summer in quotes, because a lot of me growing up, I was on the track system.
Oh, yeah.
ABCD tracks.
Yeah.
And you would only get like a couple of weeks vacation.
Half a summer or less than half a summer.
Oh, my God. Every kid was so pissed about that. Especially the one, all the parochial schools and stuff, they get the summers off. And then, we're... anyway, if you're on the right track, you may get 4 weeks.
Oh.
If you could get your track off in your Christmas or your track off in your spring break.
Right.
I think that was A's and B's. If you're on track C or D, man, you were effed. Anyway, what was I talking about?
Going to see this in the theater?
So my mom would drop me off. I would go to work with her. I'd go to the Sixplex, and I'd theater bounce all day. And I distinctly remember the day going to see this movie. I just remember it was that and like whatever other movie I saw that day or other movies, I can't tell you what they were.
Right.
But I remember sitting there, eating my popcorn and my peanut M&Ms, laughing my ass off, watching CB1.
So the film is based on the 1979 running of the Cannonball Baker Sea to Shining Sea Memorial Trophy Dash, the longest title for a race ever. It's actually longer than most of the race. An actual cross-country outlaw road race held 4 times in the 1970s, starting at the Red Ball Garage on 31st Street in New York City, later the Lock, Stock, and Barrel Restaurant in Darien, Connecticut, as is seen in the movie, and ending at the Portofino Inn in Redondo Beach, California in Los Angeles, which was also seen in the movie.
Yes.
Brock Yates, who wrote the screenplay, was an automotive journalist. He had conceived of the real-life Cannonball Baker event, as they called it. Before the movie came out, they always shortened it to Cannonball Baker.
Oh, okay, because they're named after a dude, right?
Yeah. Yates had originally proposed the race as a writer for Car and Driver. The race had only one rule.
All competitors will drive any vehicle of their choosing over any route at any speed they judge practical, between the starting point and destination. The competitor finishing with the lowest elapsed time is the winner.
Which is part of the reason why the ending is so silly, because they literally do a foot race, and it's like, yeah, the guys who started behind you are going to win because it doesn't matter.
Yeah. But that's not fun, Adam.
I know. Yates' team was the only participant in the original 1971 running, which was named after the driver Ernest Cannonball Baker, who drove across country in 1927 and made it in 60 hours.
Good Lord.
60 hours in 1927. That's insane.
Yeah.
He had to have carried like gas with him because there weren't enough gas stations between New York and California.
No, I wonder if he had like a chase car or something. With him.
He could have. That's possible. But I'm pretty sure he's the first person that drove completely across country.
That's amazing.
Yeah. The first run was intended both as a celebration of the United States interstate highway system and as a protest against strict traffic laws coming into effect at the time.
Nice.
Like speed limits.
Ugh. I can't drive 55, Adam.
Seat belts. Yeah.
Stupid seat belts.
Yates wrote a book about it called The Sunday Driver. In 1973, John G. Avildsen and writer Eugene Price were to make a film based on the book called The Cannonball Baker Sea to Shining Sea Memorial Trophy Dash.
Nope. No, thank you. No, thank you.
John G. Avildsen is best known for directing Rocky in 1976.
It is a big movie. I was going to direct myself, but it was like, I don't know if I can.
He gave up directing so he could
He started, yeah. It's more important to see me in front of the camera, my flabby flaps.
He also directed Joe in 1970, starring Peter Boyle, which made Boyle swear off depicting violence in movies. He also directed Save the Tiger in 1973, starring Jack Lemmon, who won a Best Actor Oscar for his performance.
Yeah, I don't remember what that's about.
I don't remember the movie at all. The film based on Yates' book was not made, but the race did inspire the unrelated 1976 films Cannonball, starring David Carradine and directed by Paul Bartel, who also directed Death Race 2000.
Yep.
And literally, the cover of Cannonball looks like it could have been Death Race 2000, just with a different title. Literally, the art looks exactly the same. It's weird.
Yeah, it's Corman.
Yeah. The Gumball Rally, notable only for having early appearances from Raul Julia and Gary Busey.
That's right, Gary Busey. How's the Gumball Rally? How's driving the car?
So young, Raul Julia.
My teeth were still huge back then.
Neither film did particularly well.
I remember the Gumball Alley.
No, yeah.
It was. Rally. As a child, it was fun.
I'm sure. Before the last run of the Cannonball Baker in 1979, Yates met Hal Needham. Needham served in the United States Army as a paratrooper during the Korean War, worked as a tree topper, which is an arborist who performs tree topping services.
Ooh.
And was a billboard model for Viceroy Cigarettes while beginning a career in Hollywood as a motion picture stuntman.
Viceroy Cigarettes for your Q-zone.
He was a handsome dude.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you couldn't be a cigarette spokesman if you're ugly.
Needham's first break was as the stunt double for actor Richard Boone on the popular TV Western Have Gun, Will Travel.
Nice.
Yeah.
Have gun will travel. Oh, no, I'm doing the Paladin song.
It shows up on... for some reason, they suggest Have Gun Will Travel to me on YouTube a lot.
Weird.
I don't know why. Oh. Yeah. Needham trained under John Wayne's stunt double Chuck Roberson and quickly became one of the top stuntmen in the 1960s on such films as...
How the West Was Won, The Bridge at Remagen, McClintock, The Warlord, and Little Big Man.
He doubled regularly for Clint Walker and Burt Reynolds.
Oh, nice. Little Big Man has... Have you ever seen Little Big Man?
Yes.
With,
Dustin
Hoffman playing an Indian guy. I'm an Indian. He plays him from like a teenager to in his 80s or 100 or something. Because at the beginning,
I don't remember. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but I do remember it being an odd choice.
Well, at one point in the movie, he's like, "I'm a little big man," and then everybody cheers,
and then they all pat him on the head.
Yeah, they do. You sure are, little big man. Stop patting me on the head.
Needham moved into stunt coordinating and directing second unit action while designing and introducing airbags and other innovative equipment to the industry.
Nice.
He wanted people to stay alive.
He didn't want to die.
Needham at one time lived in Reynolds' guest house for the better part of 12 years.
That sounds fun.
That's crazy.
Reynolds needed a drinking buddy.
I'm sure. In 1971, he and fellow stuntmen Glenn Wilder and Ronnie Rondell formed Stunts Unlimited.
Probably the most well-known stunt group ever.
Yeah, they had I don't think I put this in, but in like 1981 or 82, they had like a TV movie called Stunts Unlimited, which was literally just them doing hundreds of stunts.
Dude, I totally remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that.
It was awesome.
Awesome.
It was awesome.
Because it's just like, this is the best, well, we get to see the best parts of the movie.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I always loved it when they lit the dude on fire. Because back in the day, you know, they had to put the full-on fire suit on him. Yeah. And then the clothes over
and then It
wasn't like today.
It wasn't the goop you put on now that keeps you alive.
Crazy. Yeah. Crazy goop.
Needham had written a screenplay titled Smokey and the Bandit, and his friend Reynolds offered him the chance to direct. The film was a huge hit when released in 1977.
Yeah, that movie was a juggernaut.
Oh, yeah. Huge.
It changed not only Burt Reynolds' career, but it changed Sally Field.
Yeah.
Because Sally Field before this was the Flying Nun.
Oh, yeah.
And Gidget. And, you know, a little goody-goody girl.
She was definitely not, she needed to break out of that stereotype.
And they had the best chemistry. And that was the love of his life.
Oh, yeah.
He ended up, before he died, confessing. He's like, she's the love of my life, and I blew it. And it's the biggest regret I have.
Yeah. In the March 1979 race, Yates formed one of 46 teams with director Hal Needham to compete with a 150-mile-per-hour van converted into an ambulance with LA doctor Lyle Royer and Brock's second wife Pamela Reynolds riding as the patient on the gurney.
No relation.
Yeah. No relation. Unfortunately, the ambulance never made it to the finish line. The transmission gave out 50 miles short of the Redondo Beach finish line.
It's such a brilliant choice.
It's great. I mean, yeah.
Who's going to F with a ambulance?
The ambulance used in the movie is the actual ambulance that Yates and Needham used in the race.
That is awesome.
Which is amazing.
It is so cool. It is 40. Just think if you were just a dude driving down the road, and all of a sudden,
it's like, what is going on?
What is happening?
I mean, I hear that outside often enough that I was like, is the race still happening?
The Cannonball Run race goes from the top of Coldwater Canyon to the bottom of Coldwater Canyon, and they do it 18 times a day.
At least 18 times a day.
Yes.
A couple events from the actual race made it into the movie, the ambulance being stopped in Pennsylvania and the cops stopping traffic for them in Kansas.
Nice.
Both actually happened. There are rumors that Yates originally wrote the Cannonball Run for Steve McQueen to star in, but it changed to a comedy when McQueen died and Reynolds was hired. Although, there is no evidence that this is actually true, and given that Yates was close with Hal Needham, who was very close with Reynolds, the claim is dubious at best.
Yeah, I don't buy it.
Yeah, they were trying to... Somebody... Like, there's a whole long rabbit hole of, like... They were trying to make it an action thing and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no. Like, they literally... Hal Needham and Brock Yates ran the race together 2 years before the movie was ever released.
And he lived in his guest house for 12 years.
Yeah, it just
They
doesn't...
were best friends.
No.
And they did Smokey and the Bandit together.
And Smokey and the Bandit 2, which came out before this movie. I
don't think he was going to drop Burt for...
No.
You know, and then look, also Steve McQueen was extremely funny, so it could have been a comedy.
Maybe. Maybe.
I always love seeing McQueen do goofy silly because he was always like, so serious.
So Burt Reynolds plays J.J. McClure. Yates and Needham wanted Reynolds to star, but he was reluctant to make more car-themed films after Smoking the Bandit in 1977 and Smoking the Bandit 2 in 1980.
Hey, fellas, I don't want to do another car movie.
Yeah. Okay. He was eventually persuaded by Needham's promise to keep the actor's schedule to only 14 days of filming and a fee of $5 million plus a percentage of the profits.
All right, I'll do it.
This paycheck made him the highest paid actor in Hollywood at the time.
That's why he laughs at the end.
Yeah, he doesn't care, man.
By the way, Burt Reynolds had the most iconic laugh.
Oh, yeah.
You know, before Eddie Murphy, it was the Burt Reynolds laugh.
Yeah.
That was the, that everybody knew and loved.
Okay.
That was the laugh.
Reynolds later said,
I did that film for all the wrong reasons. I never liked it. I did it to help out a friend of mine, Hal Needham. And I also felt it was immoral to turn down that kind of money. I suppose I sold out, so I couldn't really object to what people wrote about me.
Yeah. I mean, he fully admits that he's like, yeah, I literally did it for the money.
Hey, that was...
Okay.
Look, sometimes it bit him in the ass, but he was always pretty honest about stuff.
Yeah.
And fairly self-aware.
Yeah. Except that
when he's younger.
I think that a lot of stories he made up.
Well, yes.
He's just so charming that everyone believed them.
Yeah, but I think there are some stories he made up, but I think about himself in the business.
Yeah.
He was pretty honest about.
No, he was. And we'll get to that, about how, he made some mistakes and he admitted it.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay, like, look, I got to get my S together and.
He wasn't self-delusional. He wasn't like, I'm the greatest in the world.
No.
And everybody better tell me.
But I think at the end of the day, he was an entertainer, and I think he would bend the truth when needed to make things more entertaining.
Well, of course. I mean, you're on Johnny. You got a couple of pops in you. You're smoking your ciggies. And all of a sudden, you're like, I was up for Gone with the Wind.
Yeah, why not?
But Bert, you were like 6.
But the dress didn't fit me.
Wouldn't shave my mustache.
So after graduating from Palm Beach High School in Florida, Reynolds attended Florida State University on a football scholarship playing halfback starting in 1954.
Surprise, surprise, surprise. Another failed athlete turns actor. Look at, not so smug now, actors. Yeah. Every single one of these, every single show has at least one person who is a failed athlete.
Yeah.
And is like, well, if I can't do anything else, I guess I'll be an actor.
Yep. Reynolds had an outstanding freshman year as a football player. However, he injured his knee in the first game of his sophomore season, and later that year lost his spleen and injured his other knee in a bad car accident.
Good Lord.
The fact that it was so specific that, we had to take your spleen. It's like, what? I'm sorry, what? He did not return to the university for almost 2 years because of his injuries.
My God.
When Reynolds returned to Florida State in 1957, he rejoined the football team, although his leg injured by the car accident slowed him down. He was blamed for the team's loss to North Carolina State University on October 12th, 1957. And immediately after the game, he told his teammates that he was done with football.
Hey, guess what? I quit. How's that? A-holes.
Yeah. So during that...
I just want to just ruminate in that for 1 second.
Yeah.
That this poor son of a bitch who hurt his leg, then got an accident. Both legs. Then got a spleen, and miraculously comes back to play football.
Yeah. But
not 100%.
It's like, oh, you're a little slower than you were. We lost the game.
We lost it because of Gamey over here with his lamey gamey.
Should take him out behind the barn and shoot him.
Hey, I'm going to be a big star.
So during that 2 years while he was not at Florida State University, he actually went to Palm Beach Junior College where he did some acting while recovering.
Okay.
He actually won the Florida State Drama Award in 1956.
It was between him and an alligator.
Reynolds said...
I read 2 words, and they gave me the lead.
Yeah. He worked in theater in New York for a while before gaining a foothold in TV. Reynolds' first big opportunity came when he was cast alongside Darren McGavin in Riverboat in 1959, playing Ben Fraser, the boat's pilot. The show played for 2 seasons, but Reynolds quit after only 20 episodes, claiming he did not get along with McGavin or the executive producer, and that he had...
a stupid part.
Reynolds then said that he...
couldn't get a job. I didn't have a very good reputation. You just don't walk out on a network television series.
Yeah, I mean, you literally don't.
Well, I mean, yes, that's dumb.
It wasn't smart. For a very young actor, it's not smart. When you have the cachet, you can walk away.
And he seems a little headstrong. And I'm going to go with McGavin on this one and think that McGavin was probably like, hey, look, kid, you may want to try this or that. You know, I've been in the business for a while. And he's like, I don't think I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it my way. I'm much better looking.
He made his movie debut in a low-budget movie called Angel Baby in 1961.
Oh, yeah.
He continued to work in TV, appearing in...
Playhouse 90, Johnny Ringo, Alfred Hitchcock Presents, Lock Up, The Blue Angels, Michael Shane, Zane Grey Theater, The Aquanauts, The Brothers Brannigan, Naked City, Ripcord, Everglades, Route 66, Perry Mason, and The Twilight Zone.
In 1962, Dennis Weaver wanted to quit the cast of Gunsmoke, one of the top-rated shows in the country. The producers developed a new character, half-breed blacksmith Quint Asper.
Reynolds, that's their description,
yes,
not
sorry,
yours.
Not my description. It's in quotes, half-breed blacksmith. Reynolds was cast, chosen over 300 other contenders.
299 were actual Native Americans.
Reynolds announced he would stay on the show.
Until it ends. I think it's a terrible mistake for an actor to leave a series in the middle of it.
That quote right there is why I think that he just makes stuff up. Because he's talking like he didn't just do that 3 years ago.
Right.
It's like, all right, man.
Well, yes.
But ironically, Reynolds left Gunsmoke in 1965 while the show ran until 1975.
I was wrong. What I said was wrong.
He was cast in his first lead role in a movie, the low-budget action movie Operation CIA in 1965.
Operation CIA.
Yeah. One of those weird exploitation movies. It sounds terrible.
Nice.
Albert R. Broccoli asked Reynolds to play James Bond after Sean Connery, but Reynolds refused the role, saying...
an American can't play James Bond. It can't be done. Okay, first of all, I do think that's probably a lie, because there was never an American in contention to play.
No.
That was one of... It's like that stupid Harry Potter rule, where everybody's got to be a Brit.
Yeah.
Or, of European descent, because, Connery was Scottish.
Right.
But,
Yeah, I don't buy that at all. But whatever. Makes for a good story.
Sure.
Whatever. Around this time, Reynolds became a regular on the talk show circuit and became a fan favorite. He even guest hosted for Johnny Carson at one point.
Oh, yeah.
He had a major role in the movie Deliverance, directed by John Boorman, who cast him on the basis of his talk show appearances.
Oh, yeah, which is weird. Because that movie is not fun. That is not a fun movie.
Hey, so all that stuff you were doing on the talk shows... We're just going to not do any of that.
I was taking a walk this morning, and I was trying to think, what was the first thing I saw Burt Reynolds in? And I'm pretty sure it was Deliverance. I'm pretty sure the old man showed me that pre-77.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So,
I'm sure. I mean, kids, it came out in, 72? I think it was 72. So, I mean, yeah. You were too young.
You think? I'll tell that. Just a quick recap. 2 lines. I'm watching that movie at like 7 years old with the old man, and the scene with Ned Beatty comes on, and squeal like a piggy, squeal, wee, wee, wee. And I'm a young boy. I'm like, what are they doing? And the old man, without skipping a beat, takes a sip of his drink and says, they're raping him. And I'm like, what? They can do that? And so I was just like, petrified.
Innocence lost.
Yeah, and it was just a throwaway line. Yeah, they're raping him.
They're raping him.
Give me another beer. All right, as long as you don't rape me. God, good parenting in this. What great parenting in the 70s.
Yeah. Reynolds also gained notoriety about this time when he began a well-publicized relationship with Dinah Shore, who was 20 years his senior.
Yeah, I mean, look, Dinah Shore was gorgeous, and she was a household name. The Dinah Shore show was huge, and I get it, but they had such a good chemistry together, and he really loved her.
Oh, yeah. And he also gained notoriety from posing naked in the April 1972 issue of Cosmopolitan.
Yeah, he talked about that on that interview, too.
Yeah.
Because he's like, look, I get it. You know, people look to... Here's what he said about that. Because when the interviewer was like, so you get these bad reviews, how does that make you feel? And he said, look, you know, there's BC and AC. There's the before the centerfold and after the centerfold. Before the centerfold, I couldn't do wrong. I got every great review. Right. Critics loved me.
Right.
And then after the centerfold, Pauline Kael couldn't forgive me for doing it.
Yeah.
And I should have been a real serious guy. And so after that, they just dug at me. Dug at me.
Reynolds was meant to reunite with Borman in Zardoz, but fell ill and was replaced by Sean Connery.
Yes, that was my horrible movie.
Please listen to... I love Zardoz.
Yeah,
don't rag on Zardoz.
I love Zardoz, too. I'm just saying, Sean Connery didn't like doing it.
Well, I had to wear a singlet.
Listen to our Zardoz episode for more on that.
That was so cold. It was chilly.
Good. It's so bad.
Oh, it's the greatest.
It's so good.
Zardoz.
Sean Connery did not give a shit while he was making that movie. He did not.
I just didn't want to be Bond.
Yeah. Reynolds made his directorial debut in 1976 with Gator, the sequel to White Lightning.
I loved White Lightning and Gator.
He said,
I waited 20 years to do it, directing. I enjoyed it more than anything I've ever done in the business. And I happen to think it's what I do best.
He didn't really direct very much after that. It makes me sad that this is the thing that he thought he did the best, and I cannot name a single movie he's directed. Because I feel like he should have done it. In the 80s, he should have just dove into it and been like, all right, I'm going to become the greatest director ever.
But he wasn't very good at it. That's the problem. The thing is, I loved White Lightning and Gator, again, because it was Burt Reynolds and Ned Beatty.
Yeah.
And Ned Beatty gets done wrong, but at least he doesn't get raped in this one. But I'm like, thank God. It's only a sawed-off shotgun to the face. But
they're shooting him in the face.
Shoot him in the face. But it was just like these... At least the first one was kind of this fun bootlegging story about these friends that are just bringing liquor in, and they do it through the Everglades, and it's then got the mob after them or whatever, or the Sylvan Mob or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And Gator was really fun too. It's just there's this subgenre of Burt Reynolds movies that are good but not great, that are just kind of like it's hard to classify them.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of them.
There are a lot of them. It's weird how many of those he has, considering how huge of a star he is.
Well, it's true. I mean, and that's the thing, too. If you look at any really big, huge movie star, they got a lot of stinks.
Oh, yeah.
Harrison Ford's got a lot of stinks in his oeuvre.
He can do no wrong, Jim.
I wish. He can do no wrong, but the
movies can definitely do
a lot of wrong.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, it was weird because there were these kind of hybrid movies where they were trying to play on his charm.
Yeah.
But they had a much darker plot and feel to them.
Right.
There was a lot of ultra violence, sex and stuff. Not like gratuitous or whatever, but it was this weird hybrid of the Smokey Reynolds and the Deliverance Reynolds.
Right.
And it's just, it didn't mix that well. It was a little unsettling.
It was like oil and water.
Kind of, yeah.
So after a string of high-profile movies and becoming a household name, Reynolds would eventually return to TV in 1990 with Evening Shade. I'm totally skipping over most of the 80s because we eventually will cover Reynolds more.
We will. I just want to make one little thing known, because the reason why his career was so sporadic in the 80s was during the filming of City Heat.
Yeah.
He and Eastwood were doing this fight scene, and Eastwood picks up a chair, and he's supposed to hit him over the face with this chair. They put a real chair, not a breakable chair.
Right.
And so it gave him this awful hairline fracture on his jaw.
Ooh. Yeah.
And it gave him TMJ and gave him tinnitus. And he kept having to have his jaw broken.
Right.
And reset.
Yeah.
And during this, he couldn't eat.
Ugh.
So he would lose all this weight.
Yeah.
And so he just looked like he was dying. And
Yeah.
so the rumors, anytime anybody got skinny, AIDS.
He has AIDS.
So there was this whole thing that he's got AIDS, and the tabloids back then were relentless.
Vicious.
Evil.
Vicious.
And so up until Evening Shade, when he kind of got his life back.
Right.
During that whole tumultuous time of trying to fix that awful situation, it's just he went through it with the press and stuff.
Yeah.
It was pretty effed up.
So he was nominated twice for the Emmy Award for Outstanding Lead Actor in a Comedy Series in 1991 and 1992 for the sitcom, winning in 91, but losing to Craig T. Nelson in Coach the next year.
Yeah, at least he was a coach.
Yeah. He would also be nominated for a Best Supporting Actor Oscar in 1998 for his role in Boogie Nights, but would lose to Robin Williams in Good Will Hunting.
Yeah, I really think Burt should have won.
I don't. I thought Robin Williams was brilliant in that.
He was great. He was good. Look,
it was a tough year. It was a competitive year.
It was a tough year, but Reynolds' performance in Boogie Nights is so subtle and so good. And it's sad because he was too old to appreciate what he got.
Right.
And he was a little bit like, man, this is stupid, gross. And he didn't understand.
Yeah.
He didn't like the movie. He didn't do any press for it or anything.
Yeah,
and then it got him his only Oscar nomination.
Yeah. There you go. He would continue to work in TV and films until his death on September 6, 2018, at the age of 82 due to heart failure.
It's very prophetic what he said in that interview about 10 years with a movie star. And he never really crossed over to being an actor. As much as he tried.
No.
He didn't make good decisions, and he didn't have good agents.
Right.
And I think he made a lot of decisions based on who his friends were rather than the projects.
Yeah.
He did a lot of Hal Needham stuff when he got offered stuff that would have got him an Oscar, you know? But he was loyal, and I get it.
Yeah.
But I think that once his star began to fade, much like Chevy Chase or some of these guys that are on top of the world for a few years, they resent the fact that they're not on top anymore. And they can't just appreciate that they ruled the roost for a while. Now, now it's time for other kids, and I'll just be a supporting role and a mentor and,
passing that torch. Yeah.
But, when you're the sexiest man alive for like 10 years running.
Oh, yeah. It's hard. It's hard when you get older.
And you have to let go of all that ego.
Yeah.
It's got to be tough.
Dom DeLuise was cast as Victor Prinzum. DeLuise gained early notice for his supporting turn in the Doris Day film The Glass Bottom Boat in 1966.
Yeah, that is actually a really funny movie.
I've never seen it. I actually would really like to see that. In his review in the New York Times, Vincent Canby panned the film but singled out the actor, stating,
"The best of the lot, however, is a newcomer, Dom DeLuise, as a portly bird-brained spy."
DeLuise was mostly known for his comedic performances, including working with Mel Brooks a number of times in
The 12 Chairs, Blazing Saddles, Silent Movie, History of the World Part 1, Spaceballs, and Robin Hood, Man in Tights.
I don't remember. Who does he play in Spaceballs?
He's Pizza the Hut.
Oh, that's right.
I think it's just his voice, really.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah. DeLuise also lent his distinctive voice to various animated films and was a particular staple of Don Bluth's features, playing major roles in
The Secret of Dim, An American Tale, A Troll in Central Park, and All Dogs Go to Heaven.
Which he co-starred in with Burt Reynolds.
Yeah. They were
the last movie they did together, I believe.
I think so.
Yeah.
But they were the Steve Martin and Martin Short of their day.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they were this... As a little kid, you were like, oh, they sleep in bunk beds. They live in the same house. They're best friends.
They must. They get along so well.
And who knows? I hope that their friendship is real because
I think it was. I believed it was.
I feel it was.
I think the most genuine acting Burt Reynolds ever did was when he was laughing at Dom DeLuise.
Right. I mean, it's just been... Could you imagine... Your job is just to hang out with Dom DeLuise all day and just laugh your ass off.
Such a goofy goofball. And it's
so much fun.
Great. So great.
And he just, that laugh and his... When he's like, oh, no, and he knows he's getting the slap.
Yeah.
It's just, they're so cute together. It's just, there's no other way to put it.
And also, in the bloopers at the end, this is how I know they were close friends, because he knew he was going to get the slap. DeLuise knew he was going to get the slap. But when Reynolds messed up, he literally took Dom DeLuise's hand and then slapped himself. And it's like, that right there was, okay, you guys are actually genuinely good friends.
Those bloopers are so genuine and so much fun, and it was kind of the first time that was done, I think.
The first time was the year before in Smoking the Bandit Part 2.
Right. Well, okay. So, yes.
So it was Hal Needham essentially did it.
But it was a Burt Reynolds thing. It was a staple of his comedies. And I'll be honest with you, as I was slogging through Cannonball Run 2 yesterday, I'm like, I can't wait for the bloops. And boy, are those like forced.
Oh,
not even that funny bloops.
That's not good.
They knew they were like, we have to do the bloops.
We got to do the bloops.
But nobody's having any fun on this piece of crap.
Oh, no.
The greatest is they do a bloop because Sinatra's in it, and 2, but he's definitely not anywhere near anybody in the rest of the film when they film his part.
Right.
He's probably 3,000 miles away.
Yeah.
But they do a bloop where they mess up, and then they cut to him, and it's just him doing a reaction shot that has
nothing to do with.
And you're just like, okay. These bloops are a lie.
So in the 70s and 80s, DeLuise would often co-star with Burt Reynolds. Together, they appeared in the films
The Cannonball Run, Cannonball Run 2, Smoking the Bandit 2, The End, and The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas.
His final role was voicing Pizza the Hut in Spaceballs, the animated show.
There you go.
DeLuise died in his sleep of kidney failure on May 4th, 2009 at St. John's Health Center in Santa Monica at age 75.
I was so sad when he died because he was still with it. Like, he walked with his cane, but he would still show up on stuff and talk shows, and it was just so magnanimous and so funny and so sweet. I loved him so much that I watched his children.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were not him.
No, they were not.
His older son, I don't know, Peter DeLuise, I think. He was the one that was on 21 Jump Street.
Yeah.
He was partnered up with Johnny Depp. So he was fun. I liked him. But then they had the other son that when my sister was on, we talked about him on Encino Man. Shush! Yeah. He was not good. And he was also on 21 Jump Street. They shoved him on there, too. No. And it was like, these are his kids?
Yeah.
There's a couple of snotty little Hollywood brats?
Yeah.
Ugh.
We actually...
Actually, I'd like Peter DeLuise.
Yeah.
But his other... And I'm sure they're nice guys. He just played...
I'm sure they are.
But it was just... I'm like, I will legacy watch these kids because I love your dad so much.
Yeah, exactly. Roger Moore was cast as Seymour Goldfarb Jr.
Yes, Mother. I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to kill you.
He self-parodies his role as James Bond in the movie. The car that he drives is an Aston Martin DB5, displays the UK registration plate 6633PP, matching the number plates on a DB5 from 2 Bond films, although Moore never drove an Aston Martin in any of his Bond appearances.
Nope, that was Sean Connery.
That was all Sean Connery.
It's
apparently none of his cars were iconic enough.
Molly Pecan was the woman who played his mother, and she was in like Fiddler and stuff. Their scene together, her being the Jewish mom and being like, Seymour, you're Jewish, and he's just like, Mother. It was so weird. It's just such a. That's why this movie's weird, because you have Roger Moore playing a Jewish guy who thinks he's Roger Moore driving Sean Connery's car in the Cannonball Run.
Yeah,
you can't make that up, but I guess you can.
Moore was in the middle of his run as James Bond while filming The Cannonball Run. Moore was approached for Bond by Albert Broccoli in August of 1972 after it was clear that Connery was done with the role after Diamonds Are Forever in 1971.
Yeah.
In his autobiography, Moore writes they had to cut his hair and lose weight for the role. Although he resented having to make those changes, he was premiered as James Bond in Live and Let Die in 1973.
You should have lost a little more weight.
Moore made a second Bond film, The Man with the Golden Gun, in 1974, which was a huge hit, though less successful than Live and Let Die. He returned for a third outing as Bond in The Spy Who Loved Me in 1977, which was a huge box office success.
Oh, my God. Yeah, that was... Roger Moore is the Gen X Bond.
Oh, yeah,
because he was goofy and funny. The Roger Moore James Bond movies are unlike any other, and I loved what they did with it. I just loved the fact that they didn't take it too seriously.
Yeah.
And he was such a charming, funny dude.
He was definitely way more comedic. All the gadgets and stuff, like it was fun.
That's the thing about like the 70s, is everything was kind of geared to be a little more fun.
Yeah.
It's like, Vietnam, the 60s, all that stuff, a little bit too serious. Let's just lighten it up for a little while.
He returned again as Bond in Moonraker in 1979. Moore's next Bond film for Your Eyes Only premiered on June 24th, 1981, just a few days after The Cannonball Run.
For your eyes only, only for you. Isn't that not Gloria Estefan? What's her name? Sheena Easton, right? Sheena Easton did that.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Sure. Yes, I'm going to say yes. Following the film For Your Eyes Only, Moore expressed a desire to leave the role, and other actors were screen tested, including James Brolin, but Moore was eventually enticed back for Octopussy in 1983.
See, again, James Brolin's American.
I know.
They never would consider an American for Bond.
Moore starred in his final Bond film, A View to a Kill, in 1985.
Ooh, by Duran, A View
to a Kill. That was a good theme song.
Duran. All the theme songs are awesome.
Yeah. He was the oldest actor to have played Bond. He was 45 in Live and Let Die and 58 when he announced his retirement on December 3rd, 1985, having played the part for over 12 years.
Yes, Moneypenny, I have erectile dysfunction.
58. That's just crazy.
Well, it was time. He's a little flabby.
Yes,
he was a little.
obviously.
It's like they put him in those great '70s leisure suits with the giant collar.
Yeah.
And, oh, baby, polyester, light up like a match, baby. It's so crazy that in a society that does nothing but smoke cigarettes, all of their clothes were so dangerously flammable.
Oh, yeah, that's true. With 7 films, Moore holds the record for playing Bond the most times in the Eon series, but it's tied with Sean Connery in number of times playing Bond when counting Connery's non-Eon appearance in Never Say Never Again in 1983.
Yes, I came back.
Because he wanted to tie Roger Moore.
Mostly because I got divorced and I needed some money.
He did. Moore's final film role was in The Saint in 2017, a remake of the TV show The Saint, with Moore starring in 118 episodes of the original run of the show from 1962 to 1969.
That's why he got James Bond, because Simon Templeton was basically James Bond on TV.
Yeah.
The weirdest thing that I ever saw him do was there was a show called Maverick with James Garner. Mm-hmm. And James Garner, for some reason, wasn't on Maverick. So they brought in his cousin,
his cousin,
who was English.
His English cousin, yeah.
And it was him. Roger Moore played Maverick's cousin.
His name was like James. It was like James Maverick, or something like that. Yeah,
something. And it was just like, and then there was somebody else that came on. I think
the show was bizarre.
But yeah, I mean, I remember because once I talent crushed on him, then I found The Saint, and then I found Maverick.
Right.
That was that.
Moore sadly died in the presence of his family at his home in Crans, Montana, Switzerland, on May 23rd, 2017, from cancers of the lung and liver at the age of 89.
Awful.
Yeah, cancer sucks.
I knew his son Christian for a while.
Oh, did you? Farrah Fawcett was cast as the tree-loving photographer Pamela Glover. JJ calls her Beauty. I don't think her real name is used in the movie at all.
Well, yeah. I mean, they all call her Beauty. Hey, Beauty.
Well, because she wouldn't give him her name, and then
they kidnapped her.
And then they kidnapped her. She wouldn't give the name before, and then he goes, "Oh, I'm going to call you Beauty," and then he introduces her to some people, and then 20 minutes later, kidnaps her, and she's with them.
What's really funny
is... And then drugs her. What a great movie. All right.
There's some problematic stuff. That's Jack Elam.
Yeah.
But what's really funny is she's got a weird accent.
Yeah.
And so when she says, because she always has this monologue where she's like, I love trees.
Yeah,
I love laying behind.
Wait, they keep getting interrupted.
Yeah, but the whole is, I love trees. I love sitting at night. You sit below them and you blow your brains out. But the way that she said it made it sound like she said you blow your brains out.
Yeah.
But she said ball your brains out.
Your brains out.
And that's why the guy was like, oh, I want to be with you, because everybody wanted to get her next to a tree.
Right. She gained stardom during the first season of Charlie's Angels in 1976. That was the same year she appeared on Logan's Run.
Right.
We talk a lot more about Farrah Fawcett in that episode, so please give that a listen. Fawcett had a long career in movies and TV, acting up until dying of anal cancer in 2009 at the age of 62.
God, that is such a horrible way to go. And it's such a shame because she was doing Altman movies and really having a resurgence and doing some great work.
Yeah.
And for somebody who was... on, and this is their description, not me, on Jiggle TV.
Yeah.
Which was basically, they're like, well, let's put a bunch of ladies without bras on TV.
Well, that was her first appearance in this movie.
Yeah.
They turned the air conditioning way up.
Right. Yes.
It's like, oh, man. It was distracting.
A little left to the imagination.
Yeah.
But that was the 70s, man. It was like nips a poppin'.
Yeah.
But that was actually
Nips a poppin'. Yep.
The sobriquet.
That was the name of my jazz band in high school. Nips a poppin'.
But she was doing such great work. Burning Bed is what changed her trajectory. Mm-hmm. She did that made-for-TV movie where she played an abused woman who, it's based on the play, that ends up burning her husband alive in their bed.
Right.
And it was that portrayal that changed her from a bimbo, again, their words, not mine, to a serious actor. And she was always so fascinating to me. And I loved her from the beginning because she was married to Lee Majors, who I absolutely loved. And whenever she came on The Bionic Man, it was like, and, and then I, like every other boy my age, had that iconic poster of her with the red swimsuit.
Oh, yeah. We definitely talk a lot about her, and also I forgot about the Bionic Man episode.
Right.
But Logan's Run Bionic Man, a lot more about her and her career trajectory.
She was amazing.
She was great. Dean Martin was cast as Jamie Blake. Martin was also known as the King of Cool and made waves as the comedy duo Martin and Lewis with Jerry Lewis.
Ugh, I couldn't imagine. It must have just been exhausting for him to be in Martin and Lewis. Because, he's just a very kind of calm guy, And he just does his thing.
Oh, boy! That's why they work so well together.
Can you just shut up for 5 seconds?
No! Dean Martin in Cannonball Run looked so drunk the entire time.
Here's the funny thing, is he never drank. He was a teetotaler.
I know, but his eyes were so puffy.
He was just so old, dude.
Yeah,
he probably had hypertension from smoking.
He
and
smoked a lot,
he would have apple juice in his drink. He wasn't a big drinker. But he and Sammy Davis Jr. Those two were so funny together.
Yeah.
Playing priests. And okay, it's pretty creepy to watch old grandpa be hitting on late girls in their 20s and say, hey, you should come back to my place and you can watch me fall asleep. But he was just so cool. Like the coolest MF.
Yeah. Smooth as hell.
Smooth. And the Brat Pack were all giant personalities.
Right.
At least 3 of them,
The Rat Pack?
The Rat Pack. What did I say? Brat Pack?
The Brat Pack.
Yeah, big personalities for them, too. But the Rat
Not
Pack.
as cool as the Rat Pack.
But man, you got Sammy, you got Frank, you got Dean, and then you got the other guys. But
the other guys. Who gives a shit about the other guys?
Well, there's like a couple of comics and then that English actor.
They would rotate. It was the main 3.
But they were the main 3, and you could tell just how much fun these 2 guys were having together.
Oh, yeah.
He and Sammy were just... And game, too. I mean, hilarious. I mean, they're basically the second leads.
Yeah.
I would say that it's the Burt Reynolds car and then their car.
Follow them more. Yeah, because they actually have more of an arc.
Oh, yeah?
Technically.
Well, we're just trying to get from one place to another.
So, following an acrimonious ending of the Martin and Lewis partnership in 1956, Martin pursued a solo career as a performer and actor.
Oh, yeah.
He established himself as a singer, recording numerous contemporary songs as well as standards from the Great American Songbook.
His biggest was, when a moon hits your eye like a big piece of pie, that's amore.
He became one of the most popular acts in Las Vegas and was known for his friendship with fellow artists Frank Sinatra and Sammy Davis Jr., who together with several others formed the Rat Pack.
Yep. Oh, man.
They emulated for decades to come.
And never repeated. But it would have been so much fun. That is the Vegas era I wish I had experienced, because it was these lounge shows. They didn't cost a lot of money to go see them. No. A lot of time it was just comped when you get your your room. But, you would, like when they were shooting Ocean's 11, they'd do their shows at Vegas. They'd roll in, shoot whenever they wanted to shoot, leave, go back and do their thing. They just lived the lives they wanted to live.
Yeah.
And they, from all intents and purposes, pretty crazy fun lives.
Starting in 1965, Martin was the host of the television variety program The Dean Martin Show, which centered on Martin's singing and comedic talents and was characterized by his relaxed, easygoing demeanor.
It's the laziest sketch show I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
It's funny, and his charm does it, but it's just, I'm going to be me, sitting in a car, and there's Paul Lynde. Let him be crazy.
Not a lot of acting going
on.
No,
it's just him with his drink and his smoke reacting. Oh, that's pretty crazy.
From 1974 to 1984, Martin was roast master on the popular Dean Martin Celebrity Roast, which drew celebrities, comedians, and politicians.
That's where I just fell in love, because those roasts were the funniest. That's the thing. Like I keep saying, the 70s celebrity aura or myth or whatever, whether it's Match Game, Celebrity Roasts, Burt Reynolds films or whatever, or Carson, it just seemed like show business was just this fun group of folks that all knew each other, all partied together.
Yeah.
You know, they all lived in a big old neighborhood together. Yeah. And it's just, and Dean Martin and Sinatra would crash the Carson show, just come on and take over. We're not even supposed to. They were just in the neighborhood, and they come in and take over the show live and push the guests. And everybody's just like, whatever, just do it.
Yeah.
Because it's hilarious. That era of celebrity is the most fun portrayal of celebrity. That's why so many people my age wanted to get into it, because we're just like, I want to get in this club. It's so much fun.
Throughout his career, Martin performed in concert stages, nightclubs, audio recordings, and appeared in 85 film and television productions, and sold 12 million records in the U.S. alone, with over 50 million worldwide.
Not too shabby, baby.
His last film appearance was in Cannonball Run 2.
That was a mistake on my part.
It's a little shabby. Martin, a lifelong heavy smoker, was diagnosed with lung cancer at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in September of 1993. He was told it would require surgery to prolong his life, but he rejected it.
Well, it may have come with a lot of debilitations. And it's like, I made it this far, I'm just going to ride it out.
It's a certain point where it's like your quality of life might be not as high as it was, and what's the point?
My philosophy is quality over quantity.
Yeah.
You know, I'd rather die tomorrow quick than live 40 more years in pain.
Yeah. He retired from public life in early 1995 and died of acute respiratory failure resulting from emphysema at his Beverly Hills home on Christmas Day, 1995, at the age of 78.
Merry Christmas, your dad's dad.
Jesus Christ.
That's what they said.
So Sammy Davis Jr. was cast as scam artist and degenerate gambler Morris Fenderbaum.
Oh, yeah, baby.
At age 2, Davis began his career in vaudeville with his father, Sammy Davis Sr., and the Will Maston Trio, which toured nationally, and his film career began in 1933.
Yeah, Sammy started out as a dancer, a tap dancer, and he was incredible. If you can ever see the old kinetoscopes, or whatever it is from the day. Kinescopes. From the day, it's crazy, but that's how show business, when show business was a family affair back then, like a vaudeville family affair, it wasn't fun, man. These kids worked their asses off.
Oh, no.
No playing ball, no going to school. No.
You worked because you made the family money.
The family business. Whatever he said, he would do, and he was a man of his word. A very complicated man.
Yeah.
But if he was your friend, he'd be the greatest friend you ever had.
Yeah. One day,
if he was your enemy, watch out.
No. One day on a golf course with Jack Benny, he was asked what his handicap was. Davis replied,
"Handicap, man. Talk about a handicap. I'm a one-night Negro who's Jewish."
Yeah, and that pretty much sums up Sammy Davis Jr.
Was that Sammy Davis Jr. or Dennis Miller? I don't know.
No, that's Sammy Davis Jr. Davis died of complications from throat cancer at his home in Beverly Hills, California on May 16th, 1990 at the age of 64.
So young. But
64! It's too young.
Every time he was on an interview or a talk show or whatever, had that cig in his hand.
Oh, yeah.
Big old cig. It was a prop. I mean, it was just always there.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen him without a cig in his hands.
No. Jimmy the Greek Snyder plays himself. The only thing I'm going to say about him, because I don't really want to talk about Jimmy the Greek Snyder, in January 1988, Snyder was fired by CBS after he made comments suggesting that breeding practices during slavery had led blacks to become superior athletes.
Yeah, it was effed up.
He was lifelong friends, I believe, with either Sinatra or somebody that was big in Vegas, and which is why he went to Vegas and became a bookie. And then he was but he was a racist piece of shit.
Yeah, he was the guy. He was the betting guy, and they would always talk to him, during the football season or whatever. Like, who do you bet on?
Yeah,
and he would give his picks and whatever.
Right.
Look, you look at the guy, you listen to the guy, you ain't surprised.
No, you really shouldn't.
He's just a piece of shit.
George Firth was cast as Arthur J. Foyt. The name was inspired by IndyCar and NASCAR legend A.J. Foyt. Firth was a librettist who worked often with Stephen Sondheim.
What is a librettist?
They write all the lyrics, essentially.
Oh.
Yeah.
You learn something new every day.
Yeah. Well, it's like not just lyrics. It's the libretto is the like sheet music for the singing.
Oh, okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. Because you have to hit the notes and all that crap.
Firth was also a character actor that appeared in tons of movies and TV shows, including
The Boston Strangler, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, Myra Breckenridge, Blazing Saddles, Shampoo, Oh God, The Man with Two Brains, and Bulworth.
His television credits include
Mary Hartman, Tammy, The Monkees, Batman, The Odd Couple, Bonanza, Happy Days, All in the Family, Murphy Brown, L.A. Law, Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, Murder, She Wrote, Little House on the Prairie, Love, American Style, Adam 12, and F Troop.
Yeah, George Firth was great. He's a character actor that you would notice. You see him and you're like, oh, it's that guy.
Yeah, and he usually played jerks or weirdo.
He played it so well in this movie.
He was amazing, and it's such a thankless part to be the killjoy on one of the joyous movies that there ever were. But he played it with such aplomb, and such like. He was likable, even though he was hateable.
Yeah, exactly.
And that is the gift that only certain character actors have, that put in that thankless position of being the killjoy and still being able to be an enjoyable part of the movie.
Yeah.
He was one of the few guys.
He was funny in this. I mean, when he was getting pooped on, it was, I mean, not literally, but when he was
not the only thing.
Getting pooped on, like, it was funny to watch his reactions.
He was great. And if you saw his face, you know immediately who he is.
Yeah, he's one of those guys. Jackie Chan was cast as, surprise, Jackie Chan.
a lot of creativity there.
Finance came from Raymond Chow of Golden Harvest, who requested that Jackie Chan be included in the cast. Golden Harvest, we've actually talked about before, but they were one of the largest studios in China. In Hong Kong.
Yeah, the largest studio back then.
In Hong Kong. Yeah, at the time. They had a lot of money, and they were starting to do forays into American film in Hollywood. And stuff.
Yeah, this was kind of the beginning of these joint international budget movies.
Yeah, they had done a couple before, but they were trying to make Jackie Chan a star. Chan had only appeared in one American release before this, The Big Brawl in 1980.
You ever see that?
No, I've never seen it. I need to watch it because I love Jackie Chan.
Oh, it's not good. But it's not horrible. It's this.
But he fights in it, yeah.
Oh well, it's called The Big Brawl.
Well, that's all I want to see.
It's like it takes place in the 30s, I think.
Oh, really?
And there's a big brawl. It's kind of like the Cannonball Run, but with fighting, I think, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah.
And he's one of the guys. Jackie Chan talks about that film with a lot of disappointment because it was to be his debut.
Yeah, it was supposed to be huge and make him a huge star.
And it just didn't click with audiences. Yeah. And they also, if you look at Jackie Chan, even in this movie, they kind of mute his incredible talent. Like they don't let him, because of insurance and stuff.
Yeah.
He wasn't able to do as crazy, elaborate stuff that he did in the Chinese films.
Yeah.
So he was frustrated with that. He was frustrated with a lot of stuff. And so when he came back after this, he did it on his own terms.
Yeah. He was extremely upset when he found out that his character was Japanese in the movie and not Chinese.
Yeah, that always he did not like playing other Asian dudes, which I get, man.
It's totally. I mean, there are 2 billion Asians, and they're not all the same.
No, they don't come from the same country.
Not all the same. It's like, okay. Michael Hui.
There's also, let me just say, there's really no reason for him to be Japanese rather than Chinese.
It was just because of the gadgets.
The car and the gadgets.
The car and the gadgets.
Because back then, the Japanese, were really taking off technologically.
Yeah.
And
they were very far ahead of the U.S. in technology.
The Asian fear, the Japanese fear that we had for years of them overcoming our economy and taking over the car industry. I mean, watch
Gung Ho.
Gung Ho. That's a good example.
Literally, the whole movie is about the Asian state, or the end of Bob Newhart.
Yes.
With them buying up the town. Like, that was a huge fear that somehow the Japanese, especially, were going to take over the entire country.
It was so awful. The Japanese went from the stereotype of taking lots of pictures and being tourists who take pictures of everything to being really rich people that buy everything.
Yeah.
And in both cases, not super well represented.
No, not good. So Michael Hui was cast as Michael Hui, which, granted, technically he did not have a name in the movie. They didn't actually ever say his name. He is considered by many critics to be one of the foremost comedians in the Hong Kong film industry.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Huge in the Hong Kong film industry. Huge. He's an actor, producer, and director, still working at the age of 82.
He's amazing. And if you have a chance to see some of the stuff he's done, look on YouTube, look up his name.
He's
you'll
so funny.
You'll see some clips, and then you're like, okay, I got to see these movies.
Yeah, yeah. Jamie Farr was cast as Sheikh Abdul Ben Falafel.
I didn't realize he was Sheikh Falafel until Cannonball Run 2.
They probably didn't say his full name in the first movie. A lot of these character names came from the second movie.
I'm sure they did, though, because he was the guy that was...
He was the Sheik. Yeah. Farr is of Lebanese descent by way of Ohio. He is best known for playing Corporal Klinger, a soldier who tried getting discharged from the army by cross-dressing on the CBS sitcom MASH.
Who was from Toledo, Ohio, in the show.
Yeah. I believe that's actually where Farr was from.
Yeah. So he used that as his real place.
His thing. Yeah. After MASH, Farr reprised the role of Klinger for After MASH and appeared both in small roles on popular shows such as The Love Boat and as a host or panelist on game shows including Battle of the Network Stars.
Oh, God. And he was always on, like, Match Game. And he was a great...
He showed up all the time.
Hilarious dude.
He's funny. He's very, very quick.
And MASH is a weird show because it evolved into this very big soapbox for Alan Alda to step on and preach to us about everything that's wrong with the world.
Yeah.
And Klinger, he started off trying to get the Section 8 by cross-dressing.
Yeah.
And then...
being crazy.
Yeah. But then as they're like, this is effed up. Yeah. So they had him stop wearing dresses and stop doing that because of, they felt it was pretty insulting to both...
Gee, you think?
People with mental illness and people who like to dress
identify as a different gender. Yeah.
So and it was really jarring too when he started wearing like normal uniforms.
Just being weird. Yeah.
He was hilarious though.
Farr appeared in both Cannonball Run 2 and Speed Zone, also known as Cannonball Run 3, the only character to do so.
Yeah. Good for him.
Farr was last seen in The Cool Kids, a short-lived sitcom from Charlie Day, which aired in 2018. He's not really working right now, but he's still alive at the age of 90.
Great. I am so happy. Jamie Farr is hilarious. And he would just show... He was also one of the first Lebanese Americans to be a star.
Huge, yeah. It's really gained a foothold, yeah.
Yeah, and he didn't shy away from who he was. And
no.
Look... I'm sure playing Sheikh Falafel wasn't probably the highlight of his career, but it looked like he had a lot of fun doing it.
He was great in it. He played the role really great. I mean,
such charm and such commitment, and it isn't easy to take these thin, stereotypical roles and make that. That's the thing about this movie that Scavenger Hunt couldn't do.
Yeah.
As good of a cast as they had, they could not completely rise above the material. They did the best they could and made a decent movie.
Right.
But this is where everybody is having such a great time, it seems, that it totally rises above the material.
Oh, yeah. No, and completely.
You're not watching this movie for the race or the acting. You're watching this movie to see some of your favorite stars just be goofballs.
Yeah, to have fun. Yeah.
And they did.
And they totally did. Mel Tillis was cast as Mel. He's a country singer. Tillis gained his biggest success in the 1970s as part of the outlaw country movement with a long list of top 10 hits.
Yeah, that was with who else was in it was like Charlie Daniels.
Yeah, Charlie Daniels.
And Waylon Jennings. And,
the outlaw country. Yeah.
And the guy that's the pot-smoking old man.
Willie Nelson.
Willie Nelson.
Yeah. Additionally, he was known for his stutter, which did not affect his singing voice.
Yes. He was in a lot of Burt Reynolds movies, and they did play up the stutter a lot.
Yeah.
But they didn't really make fun of him for the stutter.
No, it was just part of him.
Because he'd be... Gonna get it... Give me... But that's so weird, because that's the noise he would make. He'd go...
I hate it. You don't have to keep doing it.
I'm going to do it for the rest of the show.
Nope.
But the scenes with him, it was a perfect pairing. With he and Bradshaw, a couple of good old boys.
Oh, yeah.
With 18 cases. You sure you brought enough beer?
Yeah.
Chick. What did he say?
He's got the beer, and then it was some kind of meal. I don't remember.
You got enough food for it? Chick.
It was like a bag of chips cracklins or something. Yeah.
And it's so much beer. It was just, they were hilarious together. And that's the thing is took these people that weren't really actors,
right,
and just paired people up that had good chemistry. And look, I mean, you're coming up to it, but they had such great chemistry that they wanted this to continue.
Yeah. Tillis suffered from several illnesses beginning in January of 2016. On November 19th, 2017, he died of respiratory failure in Ocala, Florida, at the age of 85.
And it's sad because I'm sure most people don't remember poor Mel.
Yeah.
And he was just such a great...
I mean, look, I'm not a country music guy. I'm sure there's a lot of country music people I know that know who Mel Tillis is.
Oh, sure. I hope they do.
But
that was back when country was good or okay. You know?
Yeah.
Back, you know...
Outlaw country.
Well, outlaw country was Charlie Daniels and all this, you know.
It was
guys that were like cowboys, and they sang about cowboys and being cowboys and drinking.
Yeah. And Johnny Cash, the king of outlaw country.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Terry Bradshaw was cast as Terry. Again, neither of them really had names in the movie, so they just go by their names.
What's my name? What's my name in the movie? I don't know. Terry.
Oh,
I can't do that. That's too much like me.
Bradshaw was an NFL quarterback, winning the Super Bowl 4 times. He mostly appeared in TV shows as himself.
Yeah, he played for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
He did.
And in the time, it was the Steelers and the Cowboys were the two teams. And their rivalry in the 70s was legendary.
Yeah, I think the last time he won the Super Bowl was 76. So it wasn't too long after that he started doing acting and stuff.
He was a great player. He was a Travis Kelce of his day.
Yeah.
But he was a great football player.
Oh, fantastic football player. His most notable acting is in the film Failure to Launch in 2006, where he's actually playing a character.
I'm Matthew McConaughey's dad.
Look, it's not a good movie, but Terry Bradshaw's actually pretty good in it.
He is funny.
Look, he's funny in it, yeah.
Terry Bradshaw is another big personality who just seems like a guy that you would love to have a beer with and hang out, but then get out like in 2 hours.
Yeah. Maybe an hour. Like, just enough to be like, all right, this is great, but I've heard this story 8 times now.
But just a big, fun guy. I mean, it's just, there's so much personality in this movie. Oh, and that's the best way to describe it. These are personalities, man.
Totally.
They're just larger than life.
In addition to his acting, Bradshaw also has a country music career, having released 5 albums.
Which just goes to show you that any MFer can make a country album. To show you that, I'm going to do a country album next month.
Okay. But that might be part of the reason that or maybe it was because of Mel Tillis that he got inspired to do country music. I don't know when the first album came out, so...
You should... What? Sing a song.
Terry Bradshaw is still working as a football analyst for various networks. He's been on like Monday Night Football and Fox Sunday Football forever.
He's like 1,000 years old.
Yeah, he's like 1,000 years old, and he's still doing it. He's
great, and he's still just a big ball of fun personality.
Has so much energy.
My God.
Yeah. Adrienne Barbeau and Tara Buckman were cast as Marchie Thatcher and Jill Rivers, driving the Lamborghini.
Oh, yeah. And that's when America fell in love with the Lamborghini.
Oh, that's when I fell in love with the Lamborghini. Yeah. Barbeau appeared in 93 episodes of Maude from 1972 to 1978.
And then there's Maude.
Starring Dorothy from, oh my God, why can't
B. Arthur.
B. Arthur, sorry.
Thank you.
Like Dorothy from Golden Girls.
That was one of Norman Lear's game changers, man. That was the first kind of feminist character of B. Arthur.
Yeah.
Her daughter was... It was kind of the opposite of Archie Bunker because I think like the mom was the feminist and the daughter wasn't.
A little more conservative.
I think.
Yeah.
But she was great on it. And it's an amazing show too, by the way.
Yeah, it's on my list of ones I need to watch.
One of them, I know this sounds weird, but probably one of the most important sitcoms, that's the thing that's so crazy, man, is for some reason sitcoms are the best at helping to move culture forward.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Whether it's All in the Family, to be like, Dad's a bigot. Or this, or Modern
like
Family.
Modern Family, yeah.
Or, it's like it takes laughter and time to kind of push people into the right direction.
Or like Different Strokes, which normalizes adopting young black children.
And Webster, that even more normalized it.
Tara Buckman, on the other hand, appeared in...
The Misadventures of Sheriff Lobo, The Master, The Rockford Files, Kojak, Chips, The Hardy Boys Mysteries, Quincy, M.E., Buck Rogers in the 25th Century, and Brave New World. Hey, guys. It's me, Colonel Wilma Deering.
Hi.
Hi, how you doing? Been a long time. I just wanted to say, oh man, when she was on Buck Rogers, she was such a hoot. Such a good little lady. Had so much fun with her. We had margaritas after shooting. Anyway, back to the 25th.
All right, bye-bye.
It's been a long time since Colonel Wilma Deering has
she popped up. Ironically, neither of the jumpsuit-clad beauties driving the Lamborghini were actually named in the original film. Okay. The characters appeared in the sequel, but were replaced by other actors and actually given names.
Yeah, they replaced them with Susan Anton, who was this 6-foot whatever model who was married to Dudley Moore. Which was so funny because she was giant and he was teeny. She just kept him in her pocket most of the time. Bachman, I forget her name. She was the cousin on The Dukes of Hazzard.
Oh, okay.
She played Daisy May.
So this has sparked debate online about that the credited names for Barbeau and Bachman are not these names, and honestly, people just have too much time on their hands.
Yeah, look, they were definitely different characters.
Yeah.
Because the characters in Cannonball Run 2, they kept ruining the cars and then using their wiles to steal, cars from other people.
Right. So there's a ton of cameos in the movie. I'm just going to go through them fairly quickly. We'll talk about them. Valerie Perrine has a cameo as the state trooper pulling over the Lamborghini duo, beating them at their own game.
Cleavage versus cleavage.
Showing off her boobies.
Yeah, I got boobies too. You can't get me.
She was nominated for Best Actress in 1974 for Lenny, losing to Ellen Burstyn in Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore.
She was amazing in Lenny. Yeah. She was also amazing in Superman, playing Lex Luthor, his girlfriend.
Yeah, his girlfriend, yeah.
Mr. Luthor.
And in Superman 2.
Yeah. But she was like, hi there, Lex. She just played that goofy, dumb, dumbbell.
Yeah.
She did ditzy really well.
Yeah.
But she also did serious really. I mean, Lenny is an amazing performance.
Peter Fonda has a cameo role referencing his motorcycle gang leader character in The Wild Angels while wearing his Stars and Stripes leather jacket from Easy Rider.
Yeah, weird that a super pacifist turns into an a-hole. I guess 15 years turns you into a jerk.
Robert Tessier, who is a stuntman and biker, played Fonda's companion. He was close friends with Burt Reynolds. He was the one that got hit in the face with the wrench.
Oh, yeah.
After Reynolds hits him a few times, and then he goes, come on, one more, and then he hits him with the wrench.
He's the bald dude with the ears. Yeah. He was in The Longest Yard.
Kind of very troll-looking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was one of the guys that was, he was like the crazy convict that they had to get because he was so violent. It's probably the biggest role he's ever had was in that. But he always showed up on stuff, character actor.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, usually as a heavy or a bad guy.
Burt Convy was cast as wealthy but bored executive Bradford Compton, who rode the motorcycle.
Yeah, he rode it as a wheelie the entire time.
Yeah, because the guy, it was supposed to, because I didn't put any of this in, but it's because apparently the guy he was with...
it's too heavy?
Is too fat and causes him to do a wheelie the whole time.
So he and his buddy decide to disguise themselves as it's newlyweds on a motorcycle.
Yeah, which comprised him of just essentially putting on
a tracksuit and a wig, and a helmet over the wig. So the wig didn't even matter.
Didn't make any sense.
And it was really funny because every time you saw the wheelie running, you could tell it was just a dummy on the back.
Yeah. Convy is well known for hosting Tattletale, Super Password, and Win, Lose, or Draw.
He was a great game show host. He was also really good friends with Burt. I think Burt Reynolds was one of the producers, or the producer of Win, Lose, or Draw.
He was. He helped create the show.
And handpicked Convy to be on it. Because they've been buddies for a long time.
Convy had been a long career in film and TV, and then he eventually transitioned into doing game shows.
That's just how it was back then, man. You had to know how to do everything.
I knew him from game shows more than anything else.
Yeah, same.
Jack Elam was cast as Dr. Nicholas Van Helsing. Oh, he's so weird in this movie.
To be able to steal a movie of this caliber with this many giant personalities is something, and Jack Elam did just that.
In 1931, at the age of 11, Elam suffered a severe injury to his left eye during an altercation with another boy, an injury that ultimately blinded him in that eye and permanently damaged the muscles surrounding it.
Yeah. Childhood was rough back then, man.
Funny, Daryl Zanuck, who we talked about, I think in Magnificent Men and the Flying Machines, the producer, he was producing a TV show that Elam was in the 50s, and Elam went to Zanuck and was like, the doctors tell me they can fix it. And Zanuck was like, you shouldn't. You should lean into it. And so he did.
Yeah.
He was like, "That's going to be your calling card," and he's like, "All right, you're right."
Well, they could fix the musculature that you would never be able to see again.
No,
they would be able to
but
connect
he wouldn't have the eye going off 80 degrees the wrong way
because he doesn't have any musculature in the eye, no control over that eye.
Yeah. But he decided not to, and and now he's so obvious every time you see him on screen.
I'm a monster.
Ironically, despite his unique appearance, he played 14 different characters over 13 years on Rawhide.
7 of them had an eye patch, but
it was so weird. I mean, it's like he's the most obvious person ever.
It's such a creepy part that could have been so frightening.
Oh yeah.
Him with his I'm a proctologist, and his middle finger.
That middle finger constantly.
Effing finger, man. And the same syringe that he just used in everybody. I don't even know if he cleaned it. Maybe wiped his shirt on it. We don't know what drugs everybody's
drinking
taking
from it.
They kidnap Farrah Fawcett, drug her, and throw her in the back of a and then she ends up, falling in love with Burt. But what a cute meet. Sure. You remember when we met and I kidnapped and drugged you?
Yay.
But Jack Elam, as soon as they open up the back of that ambulance and he pops out, the movie is his.
Oh, yeah. It's so weird, too, because, the eye is very discernible, but he had the most rubber face.
Oh, yeah.
Like that mouth, constantly when he would stop and it was suddenly had duck lips, constantly just like...
It was
so crazy. It was great. He was so good.
An amazing physical comedian, and he understood the assignment, man.
Oh, my God, he ran with it.
Because that part is really tricky, because it could be super gross. It is super gross.
It is super
on
gross.
paper. But he made it.
Oh, yeah.
By the end, we loved him.
Yeah. He was so... Because he made it so weird. He was like, yes, I'm weird.
It sucked so bad the way that they brought him back for Cannonball Run 2.
Oh, no.
Because the Sheik Falafel hires him.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just the Sheik, him, and then this blonde big dude who I totally recognize, but I forget, who's like the Sheik's bodyguard. It doesn't make any sense. Where did he come from?
Yeah.
Why was he in Saudi Arabia? Anyway, so he's just riding around with the Sheik oh, go take your medicine. And it's just not as fun.
Work.
And it doesn't work because he's not... It works so well because Burt Reynolds and him and Farrah Fawcett and...
Jack Elam. Or Dom DeLuise.
And Dom DeLuise just had such great chemistry together.
They did. They totally did. That was the thing, is that all 4 of them had great chemistry with each other.
Yes.
Individually, they had great chemistry.
Yeah.
And it was shown so well in this movie. And it's because it's he's... Dom DeLuise just thinks he's a weirdo, and he's like, I don't want to... But, Burt Reynolds is just like, don't tell me where he came from. I don't care.
I don't want to know.
And it was great. It was great. He was so good.
Oh, my God. I love when interesting-looking people can become stars. I love it when people can leapfrog the studio grossness and superficiality and just pure talent alone.
Yeah.
He's a force to be reckoned with, man.
Good. So good.
And again, huge talent crush from that movie.
Oh,
and I went back and saw as much as I could of Jack Elam.
Yeah.
And whenever I saw him show up, man, it was a joy.
Rick Viles was cast as Mad Dog, the tow truck driver. He's most well known for killing Patrick Swayze in Ghost in 1990.
Yeah, he was also a comic.
Yeah, he did a lot of comedy stuff.
He did
he was also very rubber faced in this movie.
Man, when he did
Nixon,
and his eyes rolled back, it was just like, good Lord, man.
Creepy.
You're a puppet. You're not a human being. You're made out of fault.
John Fiedler was cast as the desk clerk. Fiedler is a character actor that appeared in hundreds of movies and TV shows, most notably in 12 Angry Men, and as the voice of Piglet for 35 years.
Yes, he's got that.
Yeah.
He's
one of those. The second you see him, you know exactly who I'm talking about.
Oh, Pooh, what are we gonna do?
Bald with the circle glasses, he did that. He was bald since he was 18.
He's just got that voice.
Yeah,
it's so distinct.
He's so good.
And he was in everything. He was on every single sitcom, Love Boat,
always.
Everything. Usually he's an accountant.
Yeah, some nerd.
But just a staple of the 70s and 80s, and a welcome one.
Brock Yates, creator of the race and Screwnutters, the man explaining the rules at the start of the race in Connecticut.
there's some dudes that are just dudes, you know, that just are manly men. And he is just that guy.
He's that guy.
You just see him drinking motor oil. And
Director Hal Needham actually appears uncredited as the ambulance EMT at the beginning of the movie.
Oh, right.
Veteran voice actor June Foray provided the dubbed dialogue of several of the women who escort Goldfarb in the race in an uncredited performance.
Yeah, there's just a parade of beautiful young women that are in.
He just keeps picking up off the road, apparently.
In the car. I didn't realize it until the last one that it was Foray.
Yeah.
Because it was pretty subtle. But then the last one is just 100%.
It's Natasha.
Natasha from Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Yeah, 100%.
Moose and Squirrel. But yeah, it was, Starling. And he was just so funny with all this one.
Oh, yeah, of course.
No, don't touch that one.
Don't touch that one. So the vehicles used in this movie, because I know somebody out there is very interested in this. JJ and Victor are driving a 1978 Dodge Sportsman. It's a van. Seymour is driving a 1964 Aston Martin DB5 based on the Sean Connery James Bond car, although Roger Moore never drove an Aston Martin in his Bond films.
No.
Blake and Fenderbaum are driving a 1977 Ferrari 308 GTS, which was actually owned by Hal Needham.
It's the exact same car from Magnum P.I.
Yes. Terry and Mel are driving a 1976 Chevrolet Chevelle Laguna.
Oh, the Chevelle Laguna, man.
Chevelle Laguna.
There were some crazy cars in the 80s.
Oh, yeah. Marcy and Jill are driving a 1980 Lamborghini Countach LP 400S.
That changed so many people's lives.
Oh my God, I love that car so much.
Every human being loved that car. Every boy with Matchbox cars.
Yeah.
Couldn't wait.
There was a Transformer, I think, that was Lamborghini, and that was my favorite.
Of course.
Absolute favorite.
It was the coolest car. And what is so amazing about it is the design really hasn't changed that much in the last 50 years.
No, it really hasn't. Ron Rice, owner of Hawaiian Tropic, actually loaned his black Lamborghini to his buddies Burt Reynolds and Hal Needham for the movie.
I want to see a movie about getting this movie made.
Yeah. The Japanese team is driving a 1980 Subaru DL.
That is such a rad car. I'm a big fan of Subarus.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And that little Sub, that's one of the first.
I want all the fancy gadgets inside.
Well, that was offered in that year.
And the tape player and the porno that plays on the side of it.
Yes. Well, when in the second one, he's teamed up with Richard Kiel, Jaws,
really?
You know, which is hilarious because he's giant in this little car.
Right.
And he's the little guy, but he's playing Pac-Man.
Oh, of course.
On there.
And the Sheik is driving a 1976 Rolls-Royce Shadow 1.
Oh, yeah.
The short sequence in the beginning of the movie, which involved two animated cars wrecking the 20th Century Fox logo, was created by director Hal Needham, who did a similar one for Universal Pictures when releasing Smokey and the Bandit.
Yep. Every single movie this month has had some sort of animated beginning.
Yeah. At first, Fox didn't appreciate the notion of wrecking their logo, but soon found it would be appealing to audience if it were left in.
We love that crap. That's the thing, is like these studio guys didn't understand that these little tidbits are what makes this film great.
Don't take yourself too seriously.
Hey, guys.
Ugh,
I fought really hard to take that out.
Yeah, you were wrong.
Yep. I also thought that Burt Reynolds should have been replaced by Richard Nixon.
Oh, yeah.
We came real close.
Yep.
Couldn't get the numbers.
Okay. All right.
Get the numbers.
Thanks for stopping by.
Yep. See my kids?
Yep. They're in the car. They're waving. There's someone. Someone just hijacked your car.
Oh, okay. Good.
Or carjacked, I guess.
All right. Well, I guess I'll just be here for
the rest of the show. Worry about your kids now.
Let's get out of here.
Yeah.
You ruined everything.
So the bulk of the stars of the movie only worked for 2 or 3 days. And in fact, they shot the entire movie in 36 days.
That is insane.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
The producers asked the governor of Georgia if the crew could shut down the center of a small town so that a plane could land in a town street. The barrier that police used to block off a section of the street can actually be seen in the background.
There was an insane need of Budweiser in this movie from so many different people.
We're out of beers.
We're out of beer. We're out of buds. So you got to go land and get yourself a bud.
Yep. Just go do a little. Don't stop. Just turn around. The popular arcade game Outrun was inspired by Cannonball Run. Legendary game designer Yu Suzuki, creator of Outrun, thought it would be fun to turn the movie into a game.
If they made this into like a game today, it would be really fun. If they also had out of car parts with like the fights, if they took it to the comedy, It would be really fun to make this
kind of the Mad Max like.
Yeah.
But you come out
make it in a
certain
time.
That'd be great.
All right, let's make it.
That'd be fun. Director Hal Needham and producer Albert S. Ruddy liked the chemistry of Terry Bradshaw and Mel Tillis so much that after the movie, they tried to sell a pilot to ABC featuring their characters.
Yeah.
I would totally watch that.
Oh, my God. Are you kidding me?
The head of the network loved the idea, but the day before the meeting was to be held to discuss it, the head of the network was fired and the project was canceled.
Yeah, because the next SOB was like, everything that he had in development is gone. I'm going to put my stink on it.
Yeah.
And so we lost probably the greatest television show that would have ever been.
Probably.
Better than MASH. Better than
would have been
Lost.
Better than Dukes of Hazzard. Yeah, I'm sure.
That's for sure.
On June 25th, 1980, 24-year-old German-American stuntwoman Heidi von Beltz, a former championship skier, stuntwoman, and aspiring actress, was critically injured in a car crash during production of the film.
Oh, man.
Oh, it's bad. This is going to go on for a little while, but I had to include all of it because it's important.
Okay.
The original stunt person had left the production to attend an emergency family illness, and the stunt coordinator, Bobby Bass, called his then-fiancée Von Beltz to the set for a stunt that he said was to be
a piece of cake.
The car was to be driven by stuntman Jimmy Nickerson and required him to weave between oncoming vehicles. Meanwhile, Von Beltz was asked to ride in the passenger seat, operating a smoke machine, giving the impression the car was on fire.
I'm pretty sure it was just the smoke. Yeah, it was when they were driving the Aston Martin, and it was the smoke screen.
Right, it was just filled in.
Yeah, so he put the smoke screen to get away from the cops.
Right.
It was one of the James Bond gadgets.
Yeah, exactly. The car in Aston Martin had been beset with mechanical problems, including defective steering, a defective clutch, and a bad speedometer.
Seems like 2 of those 3 things would be extremely important.
Yes. It also had bald tires and no seatbelt.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Nickerson asked for repairs to the car, and while some were done, other things were left unfixed, including the lack of seatbelts.
That makes no sense to me.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah, but that is like, it's a stunt.
Yeah. During the planned stunt, the car collided head-on with a van, breaking Von Beltz's neck and leaving her a quadriplegic.
Oh, my God.
When it became clear that Von Beltz's personal injury lawsuit would exceed all available primary insurance coverage, production's excess insurer, Interstate Fire, a subsidiary of Fireman's Fund Insurance Company, sued Von Beltz and her employer, Stuntman Inc., for a declaratory judgment that Von Beltz's lawsuit was not covered under its policy.
Oh, F you, man.
Sadly, in 1988, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit ruled that there was a duty to defend and that there was also a duty to indemnify to the extent that Von Beltz was seeking recovery for mental injuries, although the exclusion for bodily injuries was ruled to be enforceable.
So they didn't have to pay her?
Not for the bodily
For the body, that's insane.
But for the mental injuries, they had to. Ugh. She was eventually awarded $7 million, although a judge reduced the amount, and she ended up with $3.2 million.
Nice. Way to go, Judge. What a sweetheart.
Much of the settlement went to her attorneys and to paying off medical bills. Her lawsuit against the movie's producers led to required seatbelt use in all stunt cars and caused the Directors Guild to prohibit directors from altering stunts on location.
Yeah, but what a price. What a price she had to pay to get there.
She died in October of 2015 at the age of 59.
Jesus, man.
She was quadriplegic for damn near 30 plus years.
Could you imagine? You're like, get your girlfriend to do this stunt? And it...
How awful would I mean? Obviously, being in the crash is terrible. But
right. Of course,
I could not live with that.
Yeah.
I could not live with that.
I don't see how he could. I mean, the guilt, the survivors. I mean, what happened to him? He wasn't wearing seatbelts either.
No, he wasn't driving. It was a different guy driving. Oh. It was the stunt coordinator that his girlfriend was the one that came in.
So
it was a different stunt driver. I believe the other guy was fine. I don't think anything happened to him.
And how? I mean, my God, how could you? That's what I'm talking about. Survivor's guilt. Yeah. This woman is her life is ruined forever.
Yeah.
Quadriplegic is basically being a prisoner in your own body, man.
Yeah. You literally can't. You have to have someone around you 24 hours a day.
The amount of bravery and tenacity that it takes to live like that.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. Look, I'm a puss, man. If it came to, I would just want to die. I just can't imagine, I couldn't imagine.
I shot a pilot for a film down near San Diego for a friend, and the guy's house we used, it was a big mansion, the guy's house we used had been in a Jack-in-the-Box in the early 80s, and a guy came in to rob the place and ended up shooting him.
Good Lord.
And he was quadriplegic. And he ended up suing Jack-in-the-Box and won $80 million.
Yeah, but who cares?
But he was a super nice guy,
Yeah.
but it had been 40 years, and I was like, I don't understand how you're still doing this, man.
I guess humans can get used to anything, I suppose. It's just...
It was just, yeah.
To me, there is a certain kind of person that can survive something like that and then become a hero or become an inspiration or whatever. Those are the best among us.
Oh, yeah. Because I wouldn't.
I don't have that in me, I don't think.
I would be
and
awful
God help, I do not want to find out.
No,
but it's just, I don't think, it just breaks my heart.
But honestly, at the end of the day, for me, it comes down to Hal Needham.
Yeah.
Hal Needham was a stunt guy. Hal Needham had done innovation when it came to safety for stunts.
Right.
And the fact that he let this happen is just aberrant.
He should have known better.
I can't believe that he would let that happen.
I'm sure he was putting trust in the stunt people, and they were just like, yeah, we got to cover.
Yeah.
Go do your thing. We got to cover it.
Yeah.
And, he trusted them, and it didn't happen.
I guess that's the same as like with the shooting in that Western with the
Rust with Alec Baldwin, or the kids dying from the helicopter crash on the Twilight Zone.
You hire somebody, you assume they're going to do their job right, and then they don't. And like the fact that the car, so many things wrong with that car, and the fact they did it anyway is just, it's just sad.
And they're cutting corners for time and budget, and it's like, and the fact that she was like, look, we need effing seatbelts, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, and also the guy that was like, it'll be fine. I mean, I hope he's tortured for his entire life too. I mean, Jesus. Way to take the most fun movie ever.
It's just important. It's important.
It is. No, it is. I'm just teasing.
And it did change. It changed Hollywood. I mean, at the end of the day, it changed Hollywood.
Yeah, I
at horrible cost.
Right, but that's the thing. It's like all these things that are like, and then this person's horrible demise caused this. Yeah. And it's like, great, but what about for that poor person?
How about we do that before the horrible demise?
Yes. So, part of God's plan, Adam.
The Cannonball Run opened on June 19th, 1981 on 1,673 screens and grossed over $11.7 million in its opening weekend, the fourth highest opening of all time, but this was not enough to beat Superman 2 that opened the same weekend with a record-breaking $14.1 million.
Well, we knew it. Superman was the reemergence. It was the first real big superhero film, honestly.
Yeah.
And
and that's not surprising. I mean,
it was great. People were looking forward to 2. And 2, I think 2 might be better than 1.
Yeah. I mean, together they're great movies. If I watch Superman 1, I have to watch Superman 2.
Yes.
It is what it is.
But you got to watch the Donner cut.
Yeah, well, the one where they mash them all together.
Well, no, the Donner cut because he got fired.
I know.
But
there is a cut. There's a cut that he was planning on doing.
Yes.
Because technically, Superman 1 and Superman 2 was the same script.
Yeah.
They just cut it into 2 movies.
Yep.
Should have been 1. Just saying. I want to go see a 6-hour Superman movie.
Hell. There'd be an intermission?
The film went on to gross over $72.1 million in the United States and Canada, making it the 6th highest grossing film of 1981 behind Raiders of the Lost Ark, On Golden Pond, Superman 2, Arthur, and Stripes.
You old poop. Listen to the loons, Norman.
I believe Raiders of the Lost Ark was the highest grossing film that year.
Yeah, it was. And deservedly so. But what a great year.
That's a great year, yeah.
Arthur, Stripes.
On Golden Pond.
On Golden effing Pond, man. When you finally get the Fondas together.
Yeah.
Henry and Jane.
Woo. With overseas ticket sales, it would earn over $160 million in total box office from about a $16 to $18 million budget.
That's a juggernaut, baby.
Huge. Sadly, the critics were not as kind as the box office. Roger Ebert gave the film a half-star out of 4, calling it
an abdication of artistic responsibility at the lowest possible level of ambition. In other words, they didn't even care enough to make a good, lousy movie.
F you, dude. What joy.
I literally put this quote in about the time that you sent me the article about the movies that Roger Ebert gave like 3.5 and 4 stars and how awful they were.
Some big old stinks.
Yeah. I can't believe he didn't like this movie because to me this is a Roger Ebert movie. This is a movie that's just fun. It's a movie about movies that's fun.
I think he had a beef with Burt Reynolds. He never gave him
that wouldn't surprise me.
Good reviews. I'm talking out of turn. I'm not.
No, that wouldn't surprise me.
But and because I don't think he was a fan, and look, this is not Citizen F and Kane, man.
No.
This isn't Mad World. This is just pure, unadulterated, silly, goofy fun.
Yeah.
For 90 minutes.
Yeah.
If you don't come away from this movie grinning and some tears streaming from laughing, you're soulless, baby.
Yeah, you're Roger Ebert.
Roger Ebert.
Despite what Ebert thought, the movie would spawn 2 sequels, Cannonball Run 2 in 1984, which would make $56.3 million from an $18 million budget, and Speed Zone in 1989, which, despite having 4 SCTV cast members in it, John Candy, Eugene Levy, Joe Flaherty, and Don Lake, it would make only $3 million from an $18 million budget.
Yeah, I mean, they were pretty big in Canada, but...
I've never seen Speed Zone.
Neither have I.
I know it's a John Candy movie. Yeah. Did not realize it was the 3rd Cannonball Run movie.
Neither did I. I should check it out so I can complete the trilogy.
You should.
Yeah, man. Watching Cannonball 2, everything about the first one is devoid.
Oh,
it's just not as fun.
You can't capture that magic, man.
No. It takes all these weird turns where it's like a mob movie and Charles Nelson Riley is Don.
It's like they were just throwing everything at the wall.
It was too goofy. You know, it starts out with Dom DeLuise being Marlon Brando from The Godfather.
Right.
He's done and he's hilarious. And he always did a great bit. And it's funny. And he's like, the best part about it is he's petting a cat. And he's like, this cat is dead. This cat is dead.
This cat is dead.
Give me a new cat. But the way he said it, looked at it, it was like... So he did such a good job, but it couldn't save it. And then you got Abe Vigoda, got a bunch of guys from The Godfather that are playing, so you think that would be great. And then Jamie Farr's dad is Ricardo Montalban.
Ugh.
And it's like, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And so they're about the same age too, by the way. And so he's like pissed off that his son lost the So he starts his own Cannonball Run race, and the subplot of the girls is thin, and the whole bit with Burt and Dom is they're like these. He's a general, and then Dom DeLuise is a private, and then Shirley MacLaine.
Tank?
No, they're driving a limo. There's some nuclear price. It's just convoluted bullshit. It's not as clever as an ambulance, and. Shirley MacLaine and Mary Lou Henner, who are lovely and talented, are playing these actors who are dressed as nuns for whatever. So they think they're nuns, and they bring them with them.
Yeah, they're trying to do the priest thing.
And then they take off the nun stuff and come out in hot pants and stuff. And then they're like, "What's going on?" And then Mary Lou Henner, at least this time, Dom DeLuise got a love interest with Mary Lou Henner. But it was just like,
I got it. Go ahead.
And Burt Reynolds and Shirley MacLaine had zero chemistry. I mean, negative chemistry. And to not have chemistry with either of those actors were great.
Right.
They probably hated each other.
I'm sure.
But it's just, it was thin. It was goofy. It had Frank Sinatra. It was just, the whole thing is a convoluted mess of crap that wasn't very funny. Right. And it just hit the same beats as the other movie. They just twisted it a little bit.
Still better than the third one, where the setup was that all the characters from the original movies all got arrested at the beginning, and then it's the sponsors trying to find new people to drive the vehicles.
Well, also, in the end, I'm going to spoil Cannonball Run 2. So, yeah, I'm doing it. At the end, a guy comes, somebody we've never seen before, Johnny Extra, comes driving up in his sports car, runs out, kunk, looks like he won. They're like, you're like 4 hours late. Everybody's in the bar getting drunk. So we never find out who wins, by the way.
It doesn't matter who won.
I think we do find out because Jamie Farr's dad is there somehow.
Right.
He flew in from Saudi Arabia to be there for the end, inexplicably. And he's like, you lost again. You're a disgrace to the family. If you don't win tomorrow, because they're doing the whole thing again tomorrow, they're going back from Connecticut to, because this was the other way. Now they're going back the other way. And he's like, Father, I've got the best driver. I'm going to win. I have the best driver. And then he's like, then Ricardo Montalban looks, and it's the orangutan. I forgot to tell you.
Oh, yeah, there's an orangutan.
Tony Danza spent the entire 80s doing orangutan movies.
I remember that more than anything else in the movie. Yeah.
He and Mel Tillis, poor Mel Tillis.
Yeah.
He and Mel Tillis are stuck in this car driving from the back that looks like an orangutan is driving. It's the orangutan from Every Which Way But Loose.
Yeah.
He was a big star, too.
He was a huge star.
And that's so funny. It's so crazy. It's so crazy that orangutan was such a big star. I think he got top billing in this, but
he should have.
But so he's like, I got the best driver, and so leans down, gets a big old smooch, from Clyde, and he's credits. Yeah. So then we have the most laborious, unfunny, painful bloopers that just make you want to put pencils in your ears, claw your eyes out because it's not very funny. And then it cuts back to Ricardo Montalban, and he's like, "Yep, you should show your mother how to kiss," or something stupid like that. The only moment in the movie that is absolutely hilarious is there's a tiny cameo with Don Knotts and Tim Conway playing cops. They pull over the orangutan, and the orangutan grabs Don Knotts and kisses him. And his reaction, like his, Don Knotts, the shaky, wiggly,
nervous driver,
so mad. Nobody does apoplectic, shaky mad like Don Knotts going for the gun.
Right.
Was the hands down the funniest part of the movie.
Yeah. Well, sure.
And so find that clip.
Yeah, find that clip on the YouTube.
That's all you need to see.
That's all you need to see.
Cannonball Run 2.
So Warner Brothers acquired the rights to the Cannonball Run franchise, and in 2016 set Ethan Coen to write and direct a remake as Cannonball.
Okay. Not bad.
Nothing ever came of it. Doug Liman was in early talks to direct the film from a script by Thomas Lennon and Robert Ben Garant in June of 2018.
I like that.
That sounds great, but nothing ever came of that either.
Well, how do you do it?
And that's the end.
How do you do it? How do you make this movie now?
You don't.
You don't.
Just watch the original.
It is a time capsule. It is a time of awesome, lazy filmmaking. There are so many lazy, subpar movies that are so elevated by the cast and the fun that they're having, and this is one of them. It's just this. It is. If you're of an age and you grew up with this movie, you love it.
Yeah,
you love it, and if you haven't seen it in a long time, pop it on. It's just going to give you joy.
It's so much fun.
You're just going to laugh.
It's just so much fun. It's so much fun to watch people having fun.
Yes.
That's just my big takeaway from this movie.
Yeah.
If you're feeling stressed out, grab a whiskey, smoke some weed, put on Cannonball Run.
Exactly. Look, I was not in a good mood yesterday. Yeah. I was not. And then we watched this movie, and I was in a great mood. It was exactly what I needed to remember a simpler time of goofiness and fun and beer when you could make a whole movie about a guy in a semi-truck driving across country with a bunch of beer for a bet. Right. And then the next movie is a bunch of stuntmen.
Right.
And then the next movie is a bunch of guys with a bunch of beer driving across the country, with all your favorite stars of the time. And this month has really shown me that they don't make these epic, big comedies anymore. No. Or if they do, they just can't capture
there's something about it that just doesn't work.
Because if you did it today and you got like The Rock and Charlie Day and you got all these big stars, first of all, trying to get all these egos and money and everything to get them to be a part of it, and also to make fun of themselves, and it's just untenable now because of the egos and the stars and the money and the bullshit. So it's going to take somebody like Burt Reynolds. I think the only person that could make this movie is Adam Sandler and his friends.
Yeah. I mean, I'd watch it. It'd probably be on Netflix, and I'd give it a watch.
He already remade The Longest Yard with his buddies.
He did.
And it wasn't awful. It was nowhere near as good as the first.
No, it was fine.
But it was one of the better.
It was funny.
Yeah.
I mean, it was definitely. It wasn't as good as the original, but it was funny, and it worked.
Yeah. But you need somebody like Sandler. You need somebody that's got that kind of charisma and just presence to lead a big ensemble of really funny, weird. You get John Hamm, you get all these guys that love doing comedy.
It would be really hard to do this movie now.
Yeah.
I mean, it would just with the technology and everything, like it would be hard.
And it would be all CGI.
Yeah.
And CGI car, and it would go into this crazy stunts and crap that you don't need. You don't bat an eye at the fact that JJ A is flying a plane, and B is like, we need beer, and just lands the plane. And Dom DeLuise runs out, gets a six-pack, gets back in the plane, they take off.
Yeah.
You don't bat an eye. You're like, okay.
No.
It's because it's the 70s.
They're in a giant cigar speedboat, and it's just like, That whole sequence is just like, who are these people?
Yeah, where are they getting all these cars? It's just so...
Driving a Porsche? Like, It was just like, what is going on? There
is nothing wrong with big, dumb fun.
No, not at all.
Sometimes you need a Big Mac, man.
Yeah.
And this is a Big Mac. And it had been, I don't know, decades probably since I've seen this movie.
Yeah.
It's kind of become a yearly thing now because it's just so... I'm realizing that, and I know it's nostalgia, and I know it's, as you get older, the things of your childhood become much more bright. But watching these movies that I loved and haven't seen in a while, it's making me happier because I'm reconnecting with things that gave me joy.
Right.
And when you're young, joy is pure.
Yeah.
You're not convoluted with all the bullshit of adulthood
and with all the little tiny peccadillos of modern life.
You just want to have fun wash over you. And that's the thing that I'm really enjoying about, and that's what I loved about this month too, was seeing Mad World again. And it hasn't been that long. Every few years I'll watch that.
Same.
But just to reconnect with some of my loves as a kid and reconnect to that feeling of innocent joy, I guess.
Yeah.
We don't get that anymore.
No, we really don't.
It's just really hard to kind of let yourself put your guard down, let something wash over you, put your phone away, and just escape for an hour and a half into a really fun place with a bunch of really weird and entertaining sons of bitches.
All right, we'll be back next week with our Stepdad show. We'll talk more about epic comedies and all the fun stuff we've been watching during this month.
Oh, just one last thing. The music. I just have to say that the fact that, the action music is like Chuck Mangione.
Yeah. It's weird. I told you, this movie's weird.
I love that song so much.
Weird.
Cannonball. McClintock, is that right?
Yeah.
Is it Remington?
I assume. I mean, that's why I was kind of like, that was a good reading of that.
Myself. How the West was won.
Sorry, go ahead.
How the West was won, the bridge at Remington. No, I won't be able to say it.
Remington.
How the West was won, the bridge at Remington. The best of the lot, however, is a newcomer, Dom DeLuise, as a portly brain. I'm sorry. We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming, Baywatch, already in progress.